Well, good evening, everyone. Again, it's nice to be with you. Thanks for being in church with us this past weekend. We continued our series on the Sermon on the Mount, looking at Matthew 5:13 to 16. We saw that our main goal as members of God's kingdom is to bring glory and honor to our Father. And Matthew 5:16 puts that really well. He summarizes it. He says, "Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." And we talked a little bit about the challenge of the things that we do, having them point to God and not to us. And I told you in the message that I challenged us all for 1 week, to take a vow of secrecy in the things that we do. And I told you I'd talk a little bit more in this video blog about this spiritual discipline. So I'm going to do that. And I want to borrow from Dallas Willard. He's becoming one of my favorite authors. He has been for a while, and I'm coming back to him. But he talks about, there's a lot of writing about spiritual disciplines out there. There's disciplines of engagement, like study and worship and celebration and service, prayer. There are disciplines of abstinence, solitude, silence, fasting, frugality, and secrecy. Now, there's more disciplines of engagement, and there's more disciplines of abstinence than these, but I just listed a few. Here are some of the things that he says about secrecy that I want to present to you. I'm going to read. These are direct quotes from his chapter in his book, The Spirit of the Disciplines, and then I'm going to ask you to spend a little bit of time talking about them, not to lead out your group, but just through the course of your group. That's the way I like you to do it. So secrecy. Secrecy is the discipline of secrecy is when we abstain from causing our good deeds and qualities to be known. We may even take steps to prevent them from being known if it doesn't involve deceit. When we practice this discipline, we learn to love, to be unknown, and even accept misunderstanding without the loss of our peace and our joy and our purpose. Now listen to this. One of the greatest fallacies of our faith, and actually one of the greatest acts of unbelief, is the thought that our spiritual acts and virtues need to be advertised to be known. The frantic efforts of religious people and groups to advertise and certify themselves this is Dallas Willard, is a stunning revelation of their lack of substance and faith. Which is to say, if it only counts for us, if we know that other people know, that reveals that we do not have the amount and the quality of faith that we think we do. He says, "I would not like to have the task of hiding Jerusalem or Paris or Baltimore. The gospel stories tell us how hard Jesus and his friends tried to avoid the crowds and how poorly a job they did at it. Quite candidly, if it is possible for our faith and works to be hidden, perhaps that only shows they are of a kind that should be hidden. We might in that case think about directing our efforts toward the cultivation of a faith that is impossible to hide." Ouch. Ouch. But you had Jesus and the disciples going. How many times do you read in the Gospels where Jesus would do something and then he would say to the person he healed, "Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody what I did." He modeled for us. He modeled for us. One other thing about secrecy, he says this: "Secrecy rightly practiced enables us to place our public relations department entirely in the hands of God, who lit our candles so we could be the light of the world, not so we could hide under a bushel. We allow him to decide when our deeds will be known and when our light will be noticed." This is a particularly difficult challenge given our social media context. It's something to think about. I challenge us all for 1 week, take a vow of secrecy. See how it might work. This wraps up for us the video blogs for this ministry year, which is September through May, June. I want to thank you for your participation in small groups. I suspect your group will be taking a break for the next 2 or 3 months. We'll be back in September. Pastor Dennis will be here. We'll restart the video blogs the weekend after Labor Day. We'll start our Beyond series. God bless you. God bless your summer. I hope you have a great time together. We'll see you in church next week.